Grind don't stop. 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 Grind don't stop.
Hello! Welcome to Chewed Gum. Actually, I'm going to read exactly the description that we got in a super chat a while ago, which is Chewed Gum, a show about rejecting purity culture, challenging misogyny, and the effects of religious trauma on women. I literally could not have put that better myself, and I've tried.
That is
For a year.
perfect.
It's so good. Hi, Taylor. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I was thinking earlier, I'm like, is there anything exciting to report? But not really, but just like getting through the holidays because,
Yeah.
that's super fun. Wait, are you so were you gone for Thanksgiving then? Like you weren't home
Yeah,
for the
I was gone for
holidays?
Thanksgiving.
Okay.
No, I was not
Oh,
home for
that's nice.
Thanksgiving. It was honestly, it was really nice. We just had like mini Thanksgiving here. We made like a little bit of food, whatever, and it was really fun. It was chill. I'm in Hawaii right now. My fiance had some shows that he had to play, so I came with him, and it's been a really nice time. So that's
Is
why
it
my
it's not like
background is so
it's
weird.
not hurricane season there, is it? I don't know when that is.
No, I don't know when it is either, but I did hear some people were going to the Big Island, and they were going to whatever volcano is there because apparently that could potentially be erupting. I don't know, that the lava's flowing,
Oh
and I was like, and so we're
my.
going? If I heard that, I'd be like, so surely we shouldn't go.
I I watched, don't ask me why, but I watched multiple documentaries on volcanoes, and so
Mhm.
I was somewhere where I saw one and like you could go and like walk up to it and I was like, "No. I don't care. Like I'm not doing it." I'm like actually scared of them.
Doing
I
something.
feel like in the past I would not be afraid of them at all, but now I'm horrified after watching some
Well,
documentaries on
and
them.
I think that's the reasonable thing is to be scared of a volcano. But I also
Yeah.
feel that way about being in the ocean. Like, I don't really like to be in the ocean past my
Yeah.
feet need to touch the ground. And even so, I'm nervous. And I feel like people make me feel really weird about that, but in reality, listen, I can walk. I grew up in the Bronx. Where the hell was I going to learn how to swim? So, you know, and also, Mystic Mind Analysis, isn't Hawaii a colonized tourist trap? Yes, it is. Um, we're in Honolulu right now, I think, and it legitimately looks like Vegas. It's really weird.
Mhm.
But yeah, we came here because he was doing shows, and so I came along.
Wait,
Um,
quick question, really quick. Are you more afraid
yeah.
of the ocean or space?
Well, I mean, you go into the ocean here, and I am not planning on going to space anytime soon. So
Did
I
you
don't
hear
know. I
that?
guess like in a way. What?
Okay. I was just making sure you didn't hear a notification. I don't know.
No,
I
no.
still be new on this laptop. Okay, sorry. Say that again.
um, I feel like space I actually am not going to go to, but I do get very like weirdly claustrophobic about how you could travel as far as you want to for your entire lifetime and you would never reach the end of it, and that makes me feel weird.
Yeah. Yep. Mine
What
is
about you?
space for
What are you
sure.
more
It
scared of?
scares the shit out of
Yeah,
me. Space is
yeah.
horrifying because also I feel like we have no idea what's like way out there. I don't know. Like it could be literally anything. So that's pretty horrifying.
I
And
feel like
then yeah, the like vast
Mhm.
nothingness is very horrifying as well.
Yeah, and I feel like any terrain that I'm in that is not like something that I know that I'm like well seasoned enough in is gonna fuck me up. Like I being in the ocean, it's like I'm not a stronger swimmer than a friggin' shark, so I'm
Right.
screwed. Same
Yeah,
thing with
I feel
space. I
that.
don't know. Anyway, thank you for joining us on Chewed Gum today. I already gave the whole spiel about what the show is. If you want to call it, you can call in to the phone number 720-619-2288. You can also use the web link. If you're watching this, please make sure that you like the video so we get pushed out into the algorithm and we get lots of crazy callers. And what else? Oh, as a reminder, super chats of $5 or more will be read at the end of the show. And I don't know. What else is going on? Anything? Kind of it.
Literally. Oh.
The Oklahoma thing. Literally, Lux, if my head was not attached to my body, I would forget it. My mom's been saying that to me since I was a child, and she's right. Okay, you guys, I'm sure have seen the thing about the girl in Oklahoma, the student in Oklahoma University, who wrote a paper about, I think it was about gender and gender identity, and
Mhm.
it was the war. I'm so happy that they published the paper because it was so bad. And she got an F. She got an F on this
Right.
paper. I believe her professor was maybe trans or
Or
like of a
there's
different.
yeah,
Okay.
whoever was grading it. So yeah.
Yeah. But they also gave that paper to a second professor. So like it was graded by two different professors who both failed her. And now she's causing a
Yeah,
whole big stink saying that it's Christian prosecution. Give me a fucking break.
when I looked at the actual essay, if that's what you want to call it, that they posted, I was like shocked they posted it. Because I'm like, this makes you look bad. Like this doesn't. And then
I know.
another thing is she didn't even say what Bible verses she was even talking about. Like she didn't even she didn't even cite the Bible, which wouldn't have
I
worked
know.
anyway, but I'm just saying she wouldn't even do that. Like she didn't even know how to do that. So that's wild to me. And
Right.
then I was also thinking, if she ends up getting away with this, how far does it go? Like, can you just do this in any class, anytime? Just be like, hey, God says this, and you better give me an A, or else, like, you're persecuting me. And also, the fact that they're yelling persecution because they aren't allowed to, like, demonize and dehumanize transgender people is the most insane shit of my life.
Yeah.
But that's
But
been
it's
happening
also
for a
like
long time.
even if you disregarded the parts of it where she's saying really offensive and just blatantly incorrect things about gender and gender expression, all this kind of stuff, the paper itself was so bad. Like it was
Mhm.
just like not an academic paper in any way. So like
Right.
that's just, and you made a TikTok, right? That was about how you think that it was like sort of purposeful because there's something about like prosecution being sort of like looked well upon in Christianity.
Like a lot of times I feel like to be persecuted is to be a good Christian and to like suffer is to be a good Christian. So I feel like there's a lot of that going on. A lot of people are mentioning that I think her mom or something is involved with Moms of Liberty. I don't know, this is gossip. I don't know if it's true. But if that was true, that would make a lot of sense. And if also that was true, I think this was like a whole like planned thing. Because why are you going
Mhm.
into psychology when you don't believe in psychology? Why are you going to psychology when you don't like all you're going to say is God says so and that's it? I don't understand because you're not going to be able to get past really anything in that class.
Yeah.
And then what? Like if you
Mhm.
graduate and get a job eventually, like what? You're just going to tell your client actually you're demonic. Like that
No, but But they would. Like, this is a girl, if she were to even attempt to work in marketing, I bet you that's what she would do. You know?
I just don't get it. I do not understand picking the major psychology when she believes what she believes. But
Well, I feel like there are people who are very religious who genuinely feel like the Bible is actually a resource to them in that way. Like, I genuinely don't think that she understands how insane that actually sounds.
Well, and
But,
also my thing is like, why not just go to like Liberty or something? Like, why are you saying this at a
right.
public school? Like, just go somewhere where you can like be surrounded by hateful people. I don't know. That's maybe too mean, but
Yeah.
like, I don't know. That's just, I just don't see the point. But you could be right in the way where she is so sheltered and so used to a specific set of people that she saw no issue with it, which I'm not sure which is more concerning, honestly. The things are super concerning, so yeah. But they haven't come out with like a what they decide to do yet, right? It's like
I don't think
still up in the air.
I don't know. Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that all of the attention that this has been getting makes first of all, makes them feel fucking embarrassed at that school because they should be. That teacher should not be on leave. Like, that's unless they want to be on leave because they're like, fuck this bullshit. But to be placed on leave is a sack of shit, and I hope that the press around this kind of like turns it around, because it's just like, you're
Yeah.
supposed to be an academic institution. What are you doing?
But I unfortunately genuinely will not be surprised if they give in to like the bullying from the right, because I feel like we keep seeing that happen again and again and again.
Yeah.
So I don't know,
And
hopefully
it's
not. Hopefully
Oklahoma.
they stand strong. Yeah, which is, aren't they like worst in education or second to worst or worse?
They're
I don't know.
they're 50th.
Mm. Nice.
50th in the
So they have
country.
bigger fish to
And
fry. I'm not sure why they're doing all this.
well, they're 50th in education, and I wonder why, given this whole
Right.
scenario. And it's also like 50th in education, but when they had a Democrat as the governor, they were something like in the 30s or something. And then when now that they've had a Republican governor for however long, now it's 50th. It fell very fast.
Yeah. Yeah, and just
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, there is a direct correlation of like demonizing college and education and then religion right now, so it shows.
I know. I agree. Well, should we take some calls?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So, let's see. Oh, we have a deist? Is that how you say
Deist?
that? I assume, but I feel like that's not right. Okay. We have Jeff calling in from Florida. So let's bring Jeff in.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello, Jeff.
Hello. Hey. Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Who is this?
Taylor and Alyssa.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, I didn't expect to get on air this fast, but
Well,
how are you guys doing tonight?
Good. Your volume's a little rough.
we're doing all right. Yeah, your
Or your
volume was a little
connection,
loud.
whatever.
Okay. Do you want me to? Is that a little
That
bit
sounds
better?
good. You sound good right now.
Okay. So I just wanted to mention that Taylor's hair is just on point. And I had to like tell her this, and I watched one of her videos about God's Not Dead, and I just wanted her to know like she's doing something good with that hair right now. I'm very impressed.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So, but I kind of wanted to ask y'all, like I kind of wanted to talk to you. So I think I believe in God. So I am in Narcotics Anonymous, right? And a big part of Narcotics Anonymous is higher power. And a higher power does not, for me, mean the Christian God, but I think I'm starting to think that it does mean God. And this is why, like, the Kalam Cosmo argument, like, means something to me, because it's sort of, the Big Bang seems just as unrealistic as intelligent creator, and I just would sort of like to hear your views on that.
Well, I would say
Sorry,
that
go
we
ahead,
have
Alyssa.
better evidence for evolution and a Big Bang than we have no evidence for another kind of like God-like creator.
Oh, well, I fully believe in evolution. That's not what I'm arguing against. Like, evolution, give me all, like, I just took my son to the doctor today, and he got 4 vaccines because, like, let's not be stupid. People who know better than me know better than me. But I'm not conflating it. Evolution is something different than a intelligent creator.
So, one of the things that the conversations that we have often with people who believe in God is, it's kind of like the I don't know, therefore God thing, where like you fill in the gap with a God character. So even if you don't really believe that even if you don't believe that the Big Bang happened, or it seems like unlikely that happened or whatever, and the Big Bang is a theory, like it's the best theory that we have, but we can't know that for sure at this point. But I don't feel like the response personally to not believing the Big Bang, or not thinking the Big Bang is as believable, is then we fill in that gap with a God character.
Okay, I agree with that in the sense of, like, don't fill in that gap with the Christian God and the God of the Bible. I agree with that, right? But I disagree with that in the sense that, like, basically what I'm saying is the Kalam cosmological. It's just, it feels like it is as likely that an intelligence is behind all of this as randomness. Like, what is the reason that you believe? Like, I am 100%. Let me take that back. I'm 99.9% sure that the Christian God and the story of Jesus in the Bible did not actually happen. I am so on board with that. Like, other than the fact that I just don't believe anything for sure, I am very on board with that. But I also don't know why this universe coming into existence sort of like by itself or randomly, or we don't know. That seems more likely to you than we still don't know, but it was an intelligent designer.
The way I look at it is I feel like there's a lot of answers we don't have right now, and obviously over time we've gotten more and more answers, but I still think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered when it comes to the very beginning of everything, and I don't even know if we will ever figure that out. So the reason, like, I never claimed to know how it all started because I genuinely have no idea, but it seems less likely to me that there's a creator, because if there actually were a creator, why is there, like, he or it or whatever has never presented itself? It's never like proved itself. It seems weird to me that there'd be a creator and we would know absolutely nothing about them and not understand what it is or
That's like
anything.
that's the hidden, sort of like the hidden God. Like, why would God exist and not tell us about him, her, it. That's sort of what you're
Yeah, because
referencing.
also then what is the point? Like people claim that like God can't show like a lot of Christians will say God can't show himself because it stops free will. That doesn't make any sense. Like
Mm,
gaining information doesn't take away your free will. And so I
mhm.
just I guess I'm having a hard time like thinking that it's likely that we have a creator if they don't present themselves in any kind of way.
Okay. You
I
sort
also
of
think
like,
that
go ahead. Go ahead,
sorry,
Alyssa.
go ahead, Jeff. I don't want to cut off your thought.
No, 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 no. Okay, I was just gonna say, like, do you, um, do you see the fact that, like, there's so much that's unknown? Like, it's, like, my point of saying I'm a deist is not to say I'm a theist. Like, there's a very big difference between the two. And, you know, fucking sorry to curse, Thomas Jefferson, ultimate scumbag, raped a 14-year-old. I hate him to death. He is seen as a hero in some ways. I don't know why, because he's one of the worst people, I think. If you're willing to rape your 14-year-old slave, you're a piece of shit. But he made a point not to include Christianity in America's text. And I think that the idea of deism and theism are so different to me. I just kind of wonder what your thoughts are on this.
Um, I guess I'm kind of confused what deism is because I thought it was just believing in a god, but like that god could be like anything. So I guess it wouldn't have to be a god, like you could say the god is like the universe or something like that. So it's
I
hard for
don't
me
think
to
you're.
even
I don't think you're
you can
confused at
explain
all.
it to me if I'm not getting it.
Yeah, I know. I don't think you're
Because
confused at all. God to me
oh,
is
okay.
God. What my idea of deism is that God created the universe, and then my sort of vision of what the higher power is that God put into existence this universe, and then and knows what every single atom is going to do ad infinitum unto the future. And but like the idea of Jesus is freaking ridiculous to me. Like, there's no way that actually happened. There's no way the resurrection happened. There's no way most of the stuff in the Bible actually happened. But I think that God created the universe, but it's just, I don't know. I guess I'm mostly confused. Mostly confused.
Well,
And
so
I just don't know why people
so
need to
you're
fill in that confusion with
mm,
Christianity or
but
Islam
why so
or,
then but
whatever.
at the same token, why do you feel like the creation of the universe and of this earth and what we see and feel had to come from a god versus just being able to, you know, accept that we don't really know. We have some kind of theory, but we don't know for sure. Um, because ultimately
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter like where exactly it all started. And there's a difference, I think, between searching for an answer and searching for the truth. And so if you're searching for an answer,
Mm,
boy, do I have a bridge to
mm.
sell you. But if you're searching for the truth, then
Look,
that's a whole different thing.
um, okay. I mean, like, yeah. And in so many ways, I agree with you. Like, in so many ways, I agree with what you said right then and there. But at the same time, why have y'all landed so strictly on the idea that um, I guess it's sort of like what the idea of this universe is why is I think we both agree Christianity is not the facts, and Islam is not the facts, and but the idea that this happened from I don't know how makes less sense to me than this universe happened from a creator.
I don't feel set in any kind of belief when it comes to like why we're here or how it started or anything like that. I just don't assume things. So like when I say I don't believe in God, I mean I'm just not assuming he's real because I don't see any proof for that. There's always a chance that a God is real and they're just hiding themselves. There's a chance of like anything ever, you know what I mean? So I just um I don't know. And the big part of I think me being an atheist was when I no longer believed in Christianity, I was like, so even if there is a God, what's the point? Like, what's the point? Like we can't even interact with it and they won't tell us what it wants. So there's really no point. But I will say, like, sometimes I do get frustrated that I don't have all the answers because sometimes I get FOMO because I'm like, what if way in the future we get all the answers and I'm not there? And I hate that for some reason. I really hate that. But I think there's always going to be stuff that we don't know because we have human brains and they're limited, unfortunately.
Alyssa.
I think I would rather have an I don't really know answer than one that feels not true to me. Like, I don't so badly need an answer about how all of this began. It doesn't affect my bottom line or my goals in my life enough for me to participate in something like that. Because I think that for the most part, once you start believing in something like a supernatural god, then it like starts to open up other doors and spaces for other things to exist. And I don't it doesn't feel isolated enough for me to just say, yeah, maybe God created this and then sort of like move on, because then it's kind of like, okay, well, if God created this entire earth and then just like left it to do its own thing, then I still don't think that this God is a very good person, because they allow for carnage and horrible suffering to happen on this earth. And so then it's like, I still have questions and I still don't feel good about that possibility. And to me, it feels better um, to accept that, this is an amazing miracle of nature and biology and science and atoms colliding. Like, that is so much more amazing to me. And I also think, even from the perspective of like right now, what we're able to do, it drives me crazy when you watch like the Oscars and someone wins whatever category, and then they say something like, I'd like to thank God, like I feel God in this room. I'm like, what? You did this. Like, this is because you worked really hard and you achieved this thing. And they're so willing to just like
100%.
give it this, or like, and so I feel similarly about like how everything started here. I'm like, this is cool. This shit is cool that we figured it out this way. I don't want to give that credit to anybody else for what.
I'm a big sports fan, and so like it always bothers me when the superstar athlete who has spent his entire career working so freaking hard, and then he gives thanks to God, and it's like, nah, bro, that was you. That was
That's
you.
what I'm saying.
You were the one who put in all that work, and like just when you were 12 years old, you spent 8 hours a day on the basketball court or in the ice skating rink, or whatever. Like that's giving credit to somebody who probably doesn't exist. But I don't. I guess I get lost sometimes. Like I think like my philosophical, what's the word I'm looking for? Philosophical school of thought is like absurdism, like Albert Camus, and I like Kierkegaard a lot. Like that's more of a Christian version, but like Camus is just absurdism, which is like, there's no point to any of this, but you might as well take care of everybody you know and be as kind as possible and live your life like in the best way possible, because there's no point to any of it anyway. So just be good, like be kind to other human beings. And we're all like, the whole point of being a human is to cooperate with each other. And like, that's what we're all here for, is to be in this together. Like, it's really remarkable how, like, what we as a species have kind of put together. And it really blows my mind. And then I see, like, the president of the United States right now is Donald Jesus Trump. And I really, 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 I really am bothered by that fact. And I really think that more than anything, all the Jesus-loving Republicans who voted for Donald Trump, who love Jesus would be so in favor of immigration, like, and it's just being against immigration is the most insane thing to me. And I guess this is off topic from what I called about, but like, it really bothers me. Like, I lived on the Mexican border for a while, and I had like somebody I worked with, her husband got deported for making an illegal U-turn, and like, they were raising a family together. He didn't ever commit any crimes. He got deported just because that was the rule, I guess, whatever. But it's really, I think it's the thing that, like, if Jesus ever existed, I think he did, but if he ever existed, I think the thing he would be most against is this sort of like die-hard anti-immigration shit that they got going on. And it's just, I don't understand how you can love Jesus and you can hate immigrants. I don't get it.
I think
I just don't get it.
I think they use Jesus when it's convenient and ignore him when it's not. Like, because now we have a lot of them saying things like the sin of empathy or be careful of toxic empathy, and they're writing books about it and they're telling other Christians about it. So it just, the Bible is such a big book and has so many ideas in it, so many like opinions in it, that you could really take that religion with you anywhere politically, if you know what I mean. Like, you could just say, oh, well, this part of the Bible says this and this part of the Bible says that. So that's why I strongly believe we shouldn't be looking to a book that's thousands of years old for our moral systems and our laws and our government, because that's actually insane and ignoring thousands of years worth of progress. But I know progress isn't something they want, really, so it makes sense.
But Taylor, you did that for most of your life, right? Aren't you like a super Christian, like, until a few years ago?
Yeah, I was, but I didn't. There was a long stretch where I was really against organized religion, and then there was a period where I was like a progressive Christian. Like, I was like progressive in my politics, but then still a Christian, which I couldn't even, which, it's crazy how often you will get shamed for that. Like, you will get eaten alive by the conservative Christians because there's a narrative now that you cannot be a Christian and be like, or vote Democrat or whatever it is. So I think that maybe pushed me more. I think that maybe pushed me more to question if I actually believed in God or not, or if I actually believed in the Bible or not, because I'm like, if these are where my true morals and values lie, and this, like, this is so the opposite, then what am I a part of right now? What am I doing? Like, who am I surrounded by? So yeah, that stuff definitely had a huge impact.
Alyssa, what do you have any thoughts on that?
Not really. I think, like Taylor said, people use religion as a tool, and I think you're right that everything that happens with immigration is like completely against Christianity and like what Jesus would have wanted, and what he preaches, but they don't care about that. It's about using it as a tool. It's about taking advantage of, you're using it to take advantage of as many people and situations as possible to, gain any sort of lead, which is why when it comes down to like what you originally called for, it's like, I have no interest in even entertaining that someone else created this universe, because like, to what end? Like, I don't want to participate in that shit. It's just a community of people, and like, obviously you don't have to participate in the community if you believe in the higher power in general, but like all of that, it's just like a slippery slope that I don't want to be a part of. But I
I
want
think
to
y'all.
I want to make sure that we also we have full lines right now, and I want to make sure we get to some other calls. And Jeff, we have someone whose name is literally Christ, and so we have Christ
Yeah.
on the line, and so I'd like to see what's
Listen,
going on.
I
Like,
thought
I listen. I love both of you guys. I think y'all are both amazing. If you got to hang up on me, hang up on me. I think Forrest and Owen Morgan, like, both have like sort of shaped my thoughts about like leftism and like socialism and like that kind of thing. But y'all both are amazing, and I really appreciate everything y'all do online. And Alyssa, congratulations on the wedding coming up, and then y'all be good, okay? Go talk to some other people.
Thank you,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
We appreciate
Thanks for calling.
Good, I guess.
Have a good one. I thought that name
That's so funny.
Christ said Chris. I didn't even read Christ.
Oh.
I was like, oh, Chris.
I saw that come in, and I
Yeah.
said, okay. And I wonder if that's actually
All right.
his name. I didn't know that Christ could be a name. I know like Jesus is like, a name that people actually use now, and Jesus, but Christ, I did not
Wait,
know.
that just made me think, if someone's name is Christian, which is my husband's middle name, why don't they ever just call him Christ for short?
I would like to know that as well. And you want to know why? Because it would probably be really awkward.
Blasphemous. Yeah.
All right. Shall we pull Christ into the call?
Yeah. Let's pull him in. Let's
All
resurrect
right.
him.
Hi.
Hi,
My guess about the
Christ.
Christian thing.
Hi.
Hey, good to talk to you guys. Yeah, that was a fun call. My guess about the whole Christ thing is that I think the word Christ means he who should be followed. So it's kind of like an adjective or whatever. So it's not like etymologically, I don't think that's kind of like related like that. Anyways, doesn't really matter. I'm kind of curious, like, what are your guys' ideal like marriage situation? Kind of like, how should we like be teaching kids? Like, do you think most people should be getting married? Like what? Sorry, walking home. That's why I'm out of breath. By the way. Okay.
I think people
I don't think
can
I have.
I think people
Go
can like
ahead.
do
You first.
whatever they want to do, and it's like all things in life. It's if you decide that that's something that I think it's important in all areas to present your kids with the options that are available to them and let them choose. And if I have kids and I'm married to my partner and they're seeing like a nuclear family modeled and that's what they want to do, amazing. If they decide that that's not the path that they want to take, also amazing. As long as they're happy, that's really the priority. Happy and safe.
Okay. Yeah. No. I mean that makes sense.
I feel like mine's pretty similar because I don't have a like strict idea of what a marriage should be, because I feel like with how many different personalities there are and how many different types of relationships there are, there's no way to even give it like a one size fits all structure. That's why I think it's kind of insane that the Christian marriage thing is like, because you are born with certain sex organs, you are going to be fulfilled by X, Y, and Z, and you have to do X, Y, and Z. Logically, it doesn't make any sense, because just because you're born with a certain sex doesn't mean you're all the same, men or women. So I feel like I actually am like, my marriage now, I'm figuring out what works best for us, and I feel like anybody can do that, can figure out what it means to them. And I don't think I'd encourage people to get married, but I wouldn't encourage them not to get married either.
Okay, cool. Okay, so like my only thoughts are, and I'm like single right now, and I've been single probably for like I guess 2 years. I've had a fucking crazy 3 years. So, but like my kind of general thought is that like most people, at least for myself, kind of things I've learned is that people are kind of after like a sort of love that's like deeply satisfying, like in its fullest sense. And I tend to think that that's even deeply felt with like having kids. And I also suspect that there's kind of secrets because I think, well, I think there are secrets to the way the reality functions that you can see, like you can feel with having children, basically. Because I also think that like the entire, like actual physical, like cosmic world is all like a reflection of internal knowledge of our psyche, basically. And it kind of has to be that way for a lot of reasons. But so you can infer things from just looking at the way things are. It's just hard to see them because we're standing in it, kind of. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I think actually I don't know. I don't know what I think. That's interesting. Taylor, do you have anything to add?
No. Oh, well, also when I think the topic of like kids is interesting of what like raising them and stuff like that. Um it feels so difficult because you're never going to know exactly what's right. But I do feel like it's important to not teach them things uncritically. And when Christians hear me say that I don't think they should indoctrinate their kids, I feel like they get worked up very quickly. But and some people don't agree with me on this, that's fine. I'm not saying you can't tell your kids about your religion and what you believe, but indoctrination is when you tell them that they can't listen to any outside information. Like you can't, like no outside information is valid and you couldn't possibly learn anything from any other belief system. And that's just something I feel like is super important, whether like no matter what your belief system is really. And then I also feel like when they're younger, it's super important to protect them. And then in my mind, I feel like as they got older, if they really wanted to go to a church, I would let them, but it would suck. It would suck ass.
Yeah, I think the best thing as far as you can give as far as child advice, and there's lots of folks that agree with me, like your kid already has a nature. You know what I mean? You just have to like kind of plan it and just let them go. You know, you get them food, get them whatever. You can only help to some extent, and that's kind of the truth with a lot of like programs that are kind of misaligned. But like for sure, like I don't know, like you don't want to be pressing upon your kid an identity. In fact, like kids who grow up in more authoritarian households like have more like similar personalities, which makes sense. But like if you have like kids, it's all down to like the lowest common denominator. They don't actually sprout up to their full identity, and yeah, so I think that's actually really, really important. That's really true. Like me and Christ have struggled with religion a lot, maybe as you wouldn't expect, but it's been yeah. But on the nuclear family thing, it's even hard for me to figure out because, like, I might just have to give up not having kids at all. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of just, I feel like I'm taking advantage of people. Like, can you imagine that? Like, if you're kind of like a person who's like made, you could say just like genetically very strangely, that like you really don't feel like you could be with anyone without taking advantage of them or something. Like, I don't know. Could you guys help me with my situation? I don't even know what to fucking do.
I feel like I don't
sure
understand what you're saying. Yeah, so wait, you're
Yeah, I'm
saying you
not
feel
sure
like
if I
you're
know what you
taking
mean.
advantage of people? Why exactly?
I'm just like very tall and very weird and like handsome and weird. I know that sounds like weird to say. But like I'm like very in tune with people. I understand. I think I'm the only man who actually kind of understands like women really deeply in a way. And like so like there's like a dance that I feel really awkward with going in with people sometimes because it's it's almost I'm too self-conscious or something. I don't know.
Well, I think when you go on dates and you're looking for partners, you're interviewing them as much as they are interviewing you. And so like when you with my coaching clients, sometimes I do an exercise with them where I walk them through sort of in a meditative state, going through what their very perfect day would be, like what the most perfect day that they could imagine would look like, where you would wake up, like the people you surround yourself with, what you're eating, where you live, what your job is, who your partner is. And after you go through that whole day from beginning to end, then looking at, okay, like what kind of people fit into this perfect day and this perfect life that I want to create and what I'm looking for. And that gives you a lot of information. Like if I'm planning my perfect day and I'm thinking of, adventure and travel, then maybe I want a partner who wants to do those things. But when I think of my perfect day and it's, waking up in a sun-drenched cottage in the countryside and it's peaceful and whatever, that gives me a lot of information too. So I think you might be in a better place to really evaluate what you're looking for out of a partner, and then from there you're allowed to be kind of interviewing these people just as much as they are interviewing you, and you'll find someone that feels aligned for you. But I mean, you won't do that unless you're putting yourself out there and you're clear about what you're looking for.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'm walking with my friend outside. We're like, okay. No, I think that's really true. Like, I don't know. I don't want to hold you guys up too much. Like, I don't really have much else to say. Yeah. No. I mean, in my future, I do think it is with a partner, but I just have to like kind of focus on the day, And so, I don't let my judgment affect me. Like surprisingly, you think I'd be like, oh, all the time, but like, no. Like, Christ and God says. My God, our Lord and Father says that his forgiveness is ever deep. That means don't let the swords turn against you. Know that you're a child of God. Know that you're made in his image. And I have particular quantum reasons for knowing that is the case, but I will present an argument at some point. But, like, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, it was great talking to you guys both. I love you guys. Congratulations on the marriage. I bless you guys both. I hope it goes fantastic. I know it will. Bless the show. I think the show is going to be going really well. So, anyways, love you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Goodbye.
Thanks for calling.
Y'all, we've been blessed. I was hoping we would get blessed on this show.
Wow. Dreams do come true.
I also am not married yet, but I appreciate that. That is really nice. And I do appreciate a person who's just like, love you, bye. I love that.
I know.
Sure. By all means, whatever. That was interesting. That was way more chill than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
People in the chat got me nervous too.
I feel like with the name Christ, you're like, oh gosh, someone's gonna come in guns ablazing.
Yes, I know. He was very chill, so that was nice. All right. Well, we have some more calls. We do have some lines open, but we do have another theist who is calling from New Jersey. Sorry to give you a jump scare, but it is not who you think it is. We have Matt calling in. Oh, actually, before we get to Matt's call, I want to read our shows for the rest of the week. We have the Hang Up tomorrow at 6 p.m. with Matt and Justin. We have TACIS on Thursday with Ben and Luxander. And then our next show is the Sunday show at 2 p.m. with Justin and Shannon Q. Then we have the 7 p.m. Sunday show with Forrest and Owen. Skeptalk next Monday with Aaron and Lawrence. Lawrence Yufa. I don't know who Lawrence is yet. Okay, new friends, exciting. And then we are back again on Tuesday for another episode of Chewed Gum. So exciting. And if you are a fan of The Line and you like this show or you like any of our other shows, check out our Patreon. Go to patreon.com/calltheline and you can support this show. You can support all of our other shows. You can help keep this wonderful production going. And we have a lot of fun over there. We have a bonus show after we do the podcast. We're trying to get Taylor on the podcast. And
yes. And I have
And
a
the good thing is,
computer now, so like maybe I can do
yeah,
it.
I know. I'm so excited for you because it's like I felt the same way where I was like, I just like I don't want to spend new computer money, but once you do, it's so
Right.
life-changing. It's like this is worth every cent.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
But
definitely.
yeah. Um Someone in the chat said, I'm begging you all to stop reading polite as kind. Being courteous and polite is the bare minimum in a discussion/debate. Dude said he was the only guy who understands women. That's kind. I will be so honest with you. If someone is being polite, I'm not going to come out here guns a-blazing. That's exhausting. It's exhausting to live that way. Um, I think we all hear someone say he's the only guy who understands women, and he sounds like an idiot. And we know that's not true. Do I need to tell him he sounds like an idiot? No. For what? To start an argument on the internet? We are women who exist on the internet. We get in arguments constantly. I'm not picking one with somebody who's being polite with me on the call.
Yeah,
Who
I feel
cares?
like my I don't know, irritated self is being saved up for people who deserve it usually.
Exactly. Yeah, whatever. He wants to say something ridiculous. Who cares? It's whatever. We got bigger fish to fry. Okay, let's pull in Matt. Are you ready, Miss Tiela?
Yes, I'm so ready.
Okay. Okay,
Hey guys,
Matt.
what's
Hi,
up?
Matt. How's it going?
Hello.
It's going good. I don't know if you guys remember, but I called back a while ago, probably like a month ago.
Mhm.
Obviously you guys go
I
through a
think
lot of
so.
talks, so you probably don't remember. But I've been thinking about this a lot for the next time that I called in to join.
Mm.
Because I realized that I left out a lot of things about like my faith and the reason why I believe in God and all those things that I kind of just forgot in the moment when we were talking. So
Mhm.
I'm ready to get back into it again.
Lay it
Yay.
on us, Matt.
Go for
We're
it.
ready.
All right. So are you guys familiar with like Rene Descartes?
I am not.
So he's like
No, I
he was,
don't think
oh,
so.
sorry. So he was a French philosopher from the Enlightenment age. He's actually seen as the father of modern philosophy. And he was the creator of this belief called dualism, which is the belief that man is made out of both body and soul. And that's basically one of the essential ideas of Cartesian philosophy that still exists today. But that's something I completely forgot to bring up last time, is that I believe in the existence of the soul as well. Which, you know, when you start to kind of think and go into that belief that there is this immaterial aspect to, you know, human beings, I think that kind of begins to open your eyes up to like a lot of different things in the world once you kind of
Mhm.
come to that idea that, you know, there are these kind of immaterial things maybe in the world that like do play a part. For example, too, I guess this wouldn't be the greatest example of immaterialism, but when you get into like quantum physics, because even it's basically immaterial because of how small, and it would be impossible for us to ever really even see anything like this. But with quantum physics and stuff, it's almost like you're going into like a separate reality, because there are small forces in our universe that literally don't apply to, you know, physics as we understand it, classical physics, you know, like gravity. And there are things in our universe that literally don't follow those established rules, which I believe then begins to open things up. And then, you know, you're trying to think, well, you know, what else do we possibly not know? What other things don't follow these established laws or scientific theories that we've come up with so far? Because I also take the stance that science and religion are supposed to work together, and scientific discovery can enforce your religious beliefs, and then religious beliefs can also lead to more scientific discovery. But I guess that would be like my opening statement.
I guess okay, so one thing I talk about is how there are so many things in the past. I don't know if I've said this to you already, sorry. There's so many things in the
No problem.
past that we didn't have the answers to, and later when we did have the answers to them, they were never like a crazy supernatural answer. So for the gaps in knowledge we have with specific things, I just think that the probability of it being not supernatural is pretty high considering it's happened like every other time. And I'm also not a scientist or anything like that, so I feel like I maybe can't interact with you on those things as good as like Forrest can or something. But yeah, that's essentially how I feel about it. I just don't assume the soul is a real thing. And I think the reason we have the concept of a soul is because it's really hard for us to conceptualize that we are just our brains. I know it makes me very uncomfortable sometimes. I was literally just thinking about it last night. And like just thinking about the fact that we are our brains. Like it's just really, really weird to think about. It's hard for us to conceptualize. So I think this idea of a soul, like you're more than your body, you're more than a brain, is very appealing. And I think that has to do with human ego. And I'm not saying like a bad ego, just, in general, like
Yeah.
you want to believe it's more than that. Because there are plenty of times I very much want to believe in a soul, and it's hard for me to conceptualize all that, but I just don't assume there's one since there isn't proof for one. But I do very much understand the um the the comfort and stuff it brings to people, I guess, is where
Okay.
I'm at with it. What about you, Alyssa?
I think like many times in all of this, it's like just because I don't understand doesn't mean that we fill the gap. It's like we had this conversation earlier today too. So like there are times where I think about like what when you talk about a soul, it's like I don't believe that it's so much as a um like a mystical like you know how people will say that there's a period of time where like someone dies and then there's a different marker of like when their soul leaves their body. Like I don't believe that to be
Yeah.
true, but I
Mhm.
but I believe that I think the soul is just our consciousness, kind of like Taylor was saying. It's like everything that's happening in our brain is what constitutes what our soul is. And then we don't really have like real true evidence. And somebody in the chat also said that where was it? SJL said it. That the hundreds of years of science have changed a lot of the way that these philosophers would change how they are processing information now too. And like I wonder if they were to be around now, if they would feel differently. It's like, and I've said this on this show before, for a period of time we thought that fire was magic because we didn't have an answer for what it actually was. But now we know, like we understand, we have a better understanding of like of what on a like an atomic level what creates a fire. And but before that we didn't have the answer, and therefore God, or therefore whatever mystical thing. So so yeah, that's kind of where I lie with it. And I think it's just there's a distinct difference between wanting to know the truth and prioritizing what feels true, and wanting to create something that gives you comfort. Like Taylor said too, I understand why much of religion gives people comfort, and that's a whole different thing than being a person who just wants to know what's true.
Okay.
Matt, a quick question.
Yes.
What do you think gives somebody a soul? Like, do you think animals have souls?
So that is a little bit tricky. Personally, like if we go to like my personal belief, I would say they definitely. I would say animals have some kind of a soul. Because they can develop some kind of like a personality, and some animals also develop particularly intelligent kind of brains, and I think the existence of a soul is kind of what spawns on that kind of uniqueness and intelligence. I even think to the same degree that trees, even to a certain degree, have some kind of a soul, because just like the Native Americans believe. Because so the way that I think of as a soul is simply just like energy in a way, and so
Mm.
it's a kind
So
of
you don't think
energy
the
that
soul
just like.
is like you don't think the soul is like a embodiment of who you are and it like lives on after you're dead? Or you just mean like energy, I don't know.
So, yes,
Like
I do believe that like as a Christian, I do believe that our soul lives on after we pass. However, I also look at religion from like a logical and a scientific perspective as well. And so if we were to just say that, try to bring, a soul into logical reality, I would believe that it's just more of like energy, and stuff that it just naturally exists inside of us. I think that through your experiences and through the choices that you make in life, you know, develops your soul over time. And then there's also some people who I believe don't develop their soul, because I believe the certain acts that would take to, like actually develop your soul are acts of goodness and kindness. However, I would say that animals, I wouldn't say that they have like the same kind of soul, I guess, if that makes any kind of sense, as humans do, just because of how they're created. Like they can't develop the same kind of like critical thinking skills and ideologies that we can. But like the energy thing, I usually prescribe to that, because so like when people die, there's like a certain amount of weight that leaves them, like, and it's been clinically recorded. It also happens to dogs sometimes too as well, where they will die and then there will be, I forget the exact weight, but something around like 2 pounds or something like that of the body will just like, disappear
But
essentially. And
that can also be there's like a release of fluids and stuff when people die, and that could be
for sure.
very easily just
Well,
debunked in that way.
well, these stories are coming from like medical providers and things like that, not just like random people that would see people die, like genuine, like this
so
person weighs this
what
much,
happens to
and
the
then
energy?
so that's the thing, matter, like one of the rules of our universal rules of our universe is that matter cannot be created or destroyed. So in my personal belief, I believe that obviously as a Christian, our souls depart onto wherever God wants it to go after, whether that's heaven or purgatory, or because I do also kind of believe in that there would be like a purgatory, or I guess
Matt,
hell.
I also just wanted to check on that because I remember this weight of the soul situation. I remember like my mom talking about it, and I think there was like a
Yeah.
book that was written about a kid who like had a near death experience, like something like along those lines. But I just
Oh yeah,
wanted to check.
heaven is real, and I've seen it, or something like that.
Yeah, like that. My mom was big on that a
Yeah.
Heaven
long
is
time
for
ago. Whenever that
real.
came out,
Oh yeah, heaven
yeah.
is real. That's what it was.
Yeah. So that there was a study that Dr. Duncan McDougall did in the early 20th century, that
Mm-hmm.
said that the soul had a weight of 21 grams. But then now that study has since been debunked as being extremely
Mm-hmm.
flawed and like didn't demonstrate really
Yeah.
anything credible. So I think that, I think the weight thing, like if you're gonna try to have any like grounding evidence in having a soul or not having a soul, I think the weight thing is not going to be a part of that conversation.
I also think that if you just like are like, oh, our souls are just energy, I wouldn't really have much to disagree with you. Like, I just don't really have any thoughts on that. But if you're like a soul is our consciousness, like it's who we are and it lives on, I take issue then, because how would you determine what happens to fetuses if you're saying sentient experience gives you more of a soul? I guess my question would be like, where do you get that from? Like, where have you formed this thought? Like, is it something you came up with yourself? Is it something you feel like is like being taught to you? And I
Mhm.
also wonder of different people with different disabilities and stuff, and how much they're able to understand. And then going back to the animals really quick, where does the line get drawn? Like, how much sentience do you have to have a soul, or have enough of a soul?
Good questions. I would say that, so where my belief stems from is, my religious upbringing as well. Talking to pastors, priests. I went to a private Catholic college as well, even though I'm not Catholic. So talking to priests, I was also in the military, so I talked to chaplains as well about other certain things, but also through education as well, philosophy classes, theology classes, things of those nature, to kind of develop my insight on the human experience, essentially, is what I believe religion is deeply tied to. And that's what kind of separates us. I feel like the nature of our disagreement is over the human experience, versus looking at things, secularly, and the human experience is simply that. It's simply just the human experience, and that's it. Versus looking at things religiously, where the human experience is but a part of a journey, that continues after our bodies lose life. So any of these things I say, I don't mean to say them as like absolutes or anything like that. But those are the kind of things I use to build my
Yeah.
theological arguments and such.
So like, even though we're living different lives and believing different things, I think our human experiences are the same, and I think that we all end up in the same place, which is like non-existence. But I do understand how maybe you would live your life differently or in different ways if you think there is an afterlife. Sometimes that could be good, sometimes that could be bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I have nothing really else to say about this soul thing, except for the fact that I'm just not going to assume that souls are real, because there's a lot of uh, logistic questions that would really bother me. Like, at what point do you have a soul? How sentient do you have to be to have a soul? Like, animals wouldn't make sense to me then if they didn't have souls, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Well,
like
if you did,
with
oh, sorry,
animals,
my
if you've
apologies.
ever had like a no, it's okay. But if you ever had like a pet and you can feel how much they love and care about you, it would be really hard for me. If I am saying that human beings have souls, it would be really hard for me to look into the eyes of a little baby animal and be like, and you don't have one. Like that can't be true to me.
I agree.
Like
I agree.
You
I
soulless
agree.
creature.
Yeah, yeah. And then I also wonder too, like what even like when you're having these, you know, really tough moments in life, like if someone is on life support or whatever, and you have to decide if you're gonna pull the plug, do you account for the existence of their soul and what their soul wants, or do you do it based on their quality of life and their body and all this kind of stuff? Like
Mhm.
I don't. It's a
Well, with
complicated thing. Then.
yes, for sure. I mean, with that, I would say truly. I mean, we will. I don't think anybody would be able to tell anybody what their soul truly wanted. I mean, maybe through extremely close bonds between family or loved ones, or married couples. Maybe there's a possibility, because I do believe, especially with married couples, that there is a joining of the two souls. That's holy matrimony, two becoming one under God. But at the end of the day, though, it's just your personal experience. It's like similarly of saying nobody can tell what you're thinking unless they can read your mind, even if they've known you for a really long time and such things. So when it would come to this, assisted suicide or things like that, really you just have to go off of your best judgment, because there's no you can definitely consider for what they would want, as you would consider what they would want, regardless if you believed in a soul or not. But to be like, well, it gets a little shady, because at least through my belief, a soul is like the essence, essentially, of your being. So it's like the spiritual essence of your personhood and your will and your those things.
So how would your life change if you found out that you were just your brain?
I found out it was just my brain. Well,
Yeah,
it would probably
I
send
don't
me
mean
into.
die. I don't mean die because I think that we won't ever, I think we won't find out anything. I think we won't exist.
Oh,
But yeah, if
yeah, that's fair. I mean,
now
maybe we
living you
will.
found out.
Yeah, if I found out right now, there was irrefutable 100% fact that the humans have no souls, and we are simply just chemical reactions that's on feelings, and then those feelings lead to actions and thoughts and such things. If that was the case, I would definitely go into existential crisis for sure. But the thing is, at the end of the day, of course, I would just have to accept it, if that was what it was.
Do you think that's what stops a lot of people from? Do you think that's what gets people to more often believe they have a soul, because of what you just described, basically looking into the void and void of all things and all that scary stuff that comes with nihilism?
Yeah, for sure. And that's definitely I would definitely say for sure the scariness of nothing having meaning definitely drives some people towards religion, into this belief that basically just to convince themselves that at the end of their life things won't be bad, essentially. But with those people, I mean, I would say they probably don't put much thought into their faith in general. I don't believe in God because I'm scared of nothing having meaning. I believe in God because it genuinely makes sense to me. Just like how for you guys it makes sense for, say, that everything happened randomly by chance, through
I don't think a lot of it was random.
Well,
I think a lot of aspects of evolution are okay. I feel like sometimes when people say oh, we accidentally got to this point where a bunch of random stuff happened, I feel like people kind of discredit the role that evolution has played up until this point, where I think some evolution might be more random, but some of it obviously leads the species to survive, so it seems purposeful.
Yes. For sure. I believe in evolution as well. I just kind of look at it from a perspective of, I don't think, and again, this is where my blending of science and religion come into hand. I don't think the existence of evolution discredits the existence of God. It does, in fact. I don't know if it exactly says it in the Bible, but essentially, I'm not an expert on the Bible, but essentially, what I am pretty sure is the belief is that God created everything in 7 days, and that the earth is only, a couple thousand years old, and that God created every animal on earth as is, with no change over time. And I think any rational, educated person can understand that, that's obviously not true. And we have empirical evidence of evolution. Now, for me, I simply just think that God would have created life with that capability. because when you think about, what God is, it's very difficult because, we have our planet that's billions of years old, and our universe that is billions and billions of years older than that. So if there is a God that exists, that would be something that predates literal space and time. So that's where things start to get a little muddy.
I have a quick question. If you do believe in evolution, and like I do understand people you know, are Christian and also believe in evolution, but then do you also believe in like our human evolution?
Yes.
Okay. Like so how far
Um.
back?
Well, what do you mean by as like that we came from monkeys per se, or
No,
came
just
from?
like different species, like just things that looked very much not
Yeah.
like us and maybe were a different level of sentience. Or at least, more what about as far back as we were more animal-like than human-like? Like, do you
Mhm.
believe that, or do you think at some point you stop believing
Yeah.
in like the evolution of humans?
Oh no, I believe in all that as well. I mean, I see no reason not to per se. I mean, we have tailbones that implies the existence that we had some kind of a tail at some point. We have hair on our bodies that sticks up on ends whenever we feel like threatened or scared. That implies, just like how animals have that our bodies were at one point, covered in hair fully, and we were more like prey animals because that kind of feeling of eeriness and the hair standing on end is a prey response. So
Then
I see no reason.
how does that work with the whole Adam and Eve thing then?
Oh, sorry. You broke up for a second. Can you say that again?
How does that work then with the whole Adam and Eve story?
Yes. So it's difficult because again, when we're working with like tens of thousands of years, and obviously, like the Bible's time scope of how the Earth existed and how long is obviously wrong. So this starts to get like really sketchy because it's hard to really put in a timeline of exactly where Adam and Eve possibly, or something like Adam and Eve could have taken place in as far as our like human evolution. I'd probably have to say, I mean, from the beliefs, like the Garden of Eden is believed to be somewhere in modern day like Iraq. That's also historically and scientifically where the Middle East is, and specifically in like the Indus River Valley is, or where we see civilization really start to pop up and stuff. So the first civilization obviously being Sumer, which I believe is in between the Euphrates and Tigris River in that kind of valley. Sorry, I said Indus River Valley. I meant Euphrates River Valley or something like that. But around there, that's where first civilization spawns up. So I mean, the important thing to realize about the Old Testament or the Torah is that a lot of that stuff was passed down orally by the Hebrew Jews, who were like nomadic shepherd people. So they didn't even have a written language until like very, very longer. So a lot of the stories that they picked up from other like, civilizations just from hearing it orally. And so that's where a lot of these stories that you may hear in the Old Testament or, the Torah, they come from that kind of oral tradition. So, I mean, do I think that the Adam and Eve story per se is like completely false? I'd probably say like no, as in like at one point there was a man and a woman who like had to figure things out, whether that was like by God telling them or by, just figuring things out in a primal human way, but I wouldn't say that I completely don't believe in that story, I guess.
I feel like just at the end of the day, it was harder for me to integrate all of that into Christianity than to just say, I don't know, which is like where I still am.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't believe in God, but
Yes.
I just
Yeah.
feel like if there's that much disconnect with the message of God to us, that's a problem because I guess if
Yeah.
there was a God and the only form of communication he's using to speak to us, which is the Bible, isn't clear at all or is very distorted or whatever, that makes me
Mhm.
think that he's not like a very wise or like I don't know, like
Mhm.
not thinking that through.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
seems
Yeah.
very odd
Okay.
because then
Mm.
it would lead he already would know then that would lead more people to go to hell or not go to heaven or whatever because he didn't make sure
Mm.
that the message was clear. And then to me, it kind of just comes off as a guessing game at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. And I get that. With me, the way I approach life and everything, I love challenges. I love mysteries. I love
Mm-hmm.
knowledge. I just love the pursuit of knowledge. So that the fact that there are a lot of inconsistencies with Christianity and the Bible and things, they don't dissuade me from the religion. That just now provides for me like a challenge to be like, okay, so this is wrong. So then what is that like? And just simply, instead of just being like, well, if this is wrong, then everything's wrong. The way I see it is, this is
Mm-hmm.
wrong. Well, then let me take all the things that I can, like, at least for me, see as verifiably true based off of science and religion, or science and theology and philosophy, and those kinds of things. Because also the way that I see God, is like he's simply like a being that, like, at the very least would be like fourth dimensional in capability, which means that which means he would literally exist outside of our conception of space and time, which essentially means that he would
Mm-hmm.
exist outside of our comprehension altogether. So there are times, of course, where, you know, some things with my religion will conflict with my philosophical beliefs or conflict with my scientific beliefs, usually concerning, God or something like God. But what consoles me, at least, and, stops me from just dropping religion altogether, is the simple fact that there's no possible way that we could ever understand God. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just no way. Like,
Couldn't it, but
even if we did, oh,
it could be
sorry.
possible if he made us that way because he's all powerful. So he could have made us in a way where we could understand him.
Well, that'd be an interesting thought. I mean, I guess, yes, since God is, at least believing to be an omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent being, that that would be something that he was capable of doing. But again, I wouldn't even know what that looks like, because how would a third dimensional being be able to comprehend something outside of our dimension? So since we exist
Mm-hmm.
inside this third dimension, like, we're confined to the rules of our dimension. So I don't. But again, you are technically correct in what you're saying. I mean, God could have created us to be able to comprehend that. But I wouldn't be able to tell you why he didn't or why not or anything. So that's it. So that's, for me, is where I ever get into that kind of pickle where, like, things just don't make sense. That's where I just come down to be like, well, it's never really going to make sense, no matter, like, how hard we push. I mean, I don't think life will ever truly even make sense to us, no matter how much we discover and how much we claim to know. I think there will just always be things that humanity doesn't have an answer for.
I think that's true,
Right.
and it's interesting that you say that, while also believing in God. Like, recognizing that even with the existence and your, belief in God, we still don't have answers for things. So it's like, what's the point? It's like
Yeah.
when something terrible happens, on Earth, and then it's kind of like, well, how could God allow this? And it's like, I don't know. Y'all seem to think that that's the answer to everything is the God situation, and
Yeah.
even he doesn't know, and you guys don't know. So then I'm like, then what's the point? If so often we hit a wall of I don't know, and I don't have an answer, then what was the point in engaging with it to begin with?
I think the point of engaging with it in the first place is kind of just core to my interpretation of the human experience. Because, from our very conception, we're doomed to die. So some extreme nihilists would even say, what's the point of even living life if we're all just going to end up as worm food? Where I see things completely different. And just because maybe we won't get an answer doesn't mean we shouldn't talk about it or try to get an answer, even if it's something as impossible. It's like simple way as just because we're all going to end up dying one day, or just I could literally have a heart attack right now. That doesn't take away from life, in my opinion, or make things meaningless. I think it makes things even have more meaning, because it's like there's so much uncertainty that whatever you do is in protest of that uncertainty. It's in protest of that, guillotine that's hanging over our head, essentially, since we're born. Everything that we do is essentially in protest of the inevitable.
At the end of the day, my opinion is that people are afraid of nihilism and afraid of the void, and I think that's what keeps people hanging on to certain belief systems for a long time, because it is scary as shit. It's horrifying. It sends people in a spiral. But I'm also okay with living in that, uncomfortable feeling versus something else. But we appreciate you calling, Matt, though. Thanks for calling back and having a conversation with us.
Yeah, it was a great conversation.
Thanks, Matt. Have a good rest of your night.
Yeah,
you guys too. Oh.
Bye.
All right, see you. Bye.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut it off too early, but I felt like we had the opportunity, so I took it.
Yeah. No, I was like trying to think of what to say after that, but I was losing my words.
After a while, I was kind of like, it is frustrating that I feel like many times we have these conversations with theists, and it's just kind of like, the reason why I believe is because I don't have a better alternative. And it's just been like that conversation over and over again, and I just, I just don't think that's a good enough reason.
And it's interesting because it kind of made it sound like God to him is like a thing because it adds to the human experience, which is all I think God is like a human concept that adds to someone's experience. I don't know. I stand by what I said. I think a lot of people are afraid of nihilism and the void and this thought that we will no longer exist. So it's rough.
I know. I agree. Well, we have 2 more calls that I think we can quickly take before we wrap the show. So if you want to get in super chats, get them in now. And if you haven't liked the video, like the video. And that's it. 2 more calls, and they are both from atheists, and they both look like they're going to be lovely and normal and nice. Actually, we've had really nice, lovely, normal, nice calls all day today. Everyone's very chill today. Okay, do you have a preference of which of the 2 you'd like to take? They both came in around the same time.
Oh my gosh, like the exact same time. Maybe Alexandria, because I think she called in last week.
Oh yeah,
when you weren't here.
Yeah. Okay, let's pull in Alexandria.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you, Alexandria? Thank you so much for waiting so long.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I'm doing well. A little bit nervous, but less nervous than last time. So, it's exposure therapy.
Good.
I am the same Alexandria that's DM'd you, Alyssa, about the Let's Talk About Men video, by the way. So
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Okay.
that's me.
Yay. Well, I'm glad you called.
Yeah. I called last time, and Taylor and Erica told me to call back this week because it seemed that this is more your wheelhouse than theirs. As a consequence of that, I will be repeating quite a bit from last week, which may not be the most interesting thing
Okay.
for the people that have seen last week's show, but I think it's necessary to get new viewers as well as you, Alyssa, up to speed. So yeah, do I just go for it?
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. So I have a question with regards to consent in relationships, specifically with regards to asking people out and the degree of how explicit you need to be at the start. I would like to give some context and then follow up with the question. I recently saw an ad on YouTube, and it also played as a mid-roll ad on the live stream last week. It's from our Institute for Gender Equality, and the ad was the following. A woman was dancing with a friend, and it was implied that someone off screen had asked her to binge a series together and chill at their place. Her friend then shakes her head and directs her to stay there, and the text, not explicit, not sexy, consent is the new sexy, pops up on the screen. I personally have a hard time with understanding the social rules with regards to how you're supposed to interact with others because my mind just works a little different because I'm autistic. And this also kind of goes for like the general messaging around consent and the t-shirt problem that I kind of want to also mention. I may actually just mention it now. There is this thing in public discourse where if it doesn't fit on a t-shirt, people will not read it, which kind of forces the conversation to be very simplified and direct, but then a lot of nuance is missing, and that makes me confused.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that the problem. My question is as follows: what degree of explicit communication is appropriate when asking someone out? I think there is a spectrum between completely obfuscating any romantic or sexual interest in a person and going up to someone asking if they want to have sex with all the particulars of what you're into and the like. I understand that it may be a little different if it's like a BDSM play party, but the context I'm thinking of is just you're in a mall and you see somebody attractive and how do you approach? I understand consent needs to be informed and therefore hiding intentions of sexual or romantic interactions is inappropriate and unethical. But I also have been told that you need to keep things fun. And to do that, you're not allowed to be too forward because you need to maintain enough space to create room for desire and a playful will they, won't they thing for the experience to be interesting. So that makes it somewhat difficult to understand where to draw the line, especially without constant checking behavior and over communicating and pushing people away because of that, or being seen as boring and not adventurous enough. I also have an extra question about no means no, but I do think maybe we should pause and get to the degree of explicit communication thing first.
Yeah, I agree. We'll break it up into pieces. So when people are approaching someone and asking them out, I think that it's appropriate to I don't think that there's too much that needs to be said in the upfront if you're just asking them out. If you're saying like, "Oh, I think that you're really cute. Would you like to go out sometime?" I think that's totally fine because all you're doing is like opening up the conversation. You're asking for their contact information generally if they would like to see you, that kind of thing. I think that when you're getting closer to doing things physically, then I think that there's an opportunity for you to clarify what you're looking for. And I've even had people who are autistic say to me, I'm autistic, so my like lens of like social cues or whatever, like however you want to describe it, feels different. And so I want to be really explicit with you. Is that okay? And most of the time people are going to be like, yes, that's totally fine. I think that people will be more grateful for you being explicit than they will be disappointed that you're not playing the cool girl anymore. Like, I think that I understand the
Okay.
value of like keeping things mysterious and having a little fun, will they, won't they, but like if it's at the expense of risking informed consent, then like screw that. I'd rather know what that we're on the same page and have it be like a little bit less you know
Sure.
what's it called, mysterious, so but I think in the upfront, when you ask for someone's like contact information, or you're asking them generally if they're interested, I think you can just say like, oh, I'd love to like get your contact information. Maybe we can go out sometime. And you could even say via text like, hey, I'd love to go out for drinks or dinner or whatever. I just want to give you a heads up that I'm not looking for anything serious. I'm looking for like a sexual relationship. Or you can say something like, I am looking for a relationship and whatever. And then later you can become more clear on what that means for you. And I also think that there's a whole thing that like asking for consent takes you out of the moment, and I don't think it ever has to. Like, just a simple "is this okay?" is a nice way to just be checking in with each other along the way. So that's what I would say so far.
Yeah, totally. I just called because consent, sadly, was not a part of the national curriculum.
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
tricky, and you're not the first person
yeah,
to have this conversation with me, like, the first person who's neurodivergent specifically to have this conversation with me, to say, like, consent doesn't, or, like, conversations like that don't come as naturally, or social cues don't come to you as naturally, and so that's, like, a conversation that you wanna flesh out, like, what does it actually mean? What does it look like in practice? So, yeah, that's what I would say.
yeah. I just was looking for clarification because I don't want to risk, um, not being explicit enough, but also like
Mhm.
you are very likely to come off as creepy if you are too explicit. So it's just a little bit tricky in that sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I get that. And then what was
yeah.
the other part of the question you wanted to ask about was no means no, and I'm curious what you
Yes.
wanted to talk about there.
Are you familiar with the work of Stevie Bobby?
With who? Sorry.
Stevie Bobby on YouTube?
I don't think so.
Oh,
Stevie Bobby. I'm
I
looking at
think
him
you
now.
would.
Or her.
I
Him?
think you
I
would
don't know
like
who this
her
is.
stuff. She talks
Oh,
about
okay,
consent
fun.
and stuff.
Mhm.
And something that I mispronounced it apparently. Bobby. Yeah.
Oh.
I. So again, consent was not really a part of the curriculum, and so I was in high school during the #MeToo movement, and in that period, I saw a lot of slogans regarding no means no. I was like, sure, good, no means no, but as I actually started dating, I kind of noticed that that is not as clear cut as that makes it seem, as well as chat saying that it's actually very clear cut. I don't believe so. In the sense that language has two functions primarily. One is the sharing of information, and the other is the changing behavior in the other person. I understand that this is a very contentious subject, and it may sound like I am about to excuse rape or promoting rape culture. That is not the intention, and I would like to share a bit of an anecdote of what I am talking about. So when I was dating this person, we were on the couch, we were getting kind of touchy, and she says no, and I stopped, and I think, oh, I misread the situation, and I apologize, and then she says, no, it's not a no, it's a no, but the intention was to continue, and so I find it very I find it reductive. I understand no means no as like a slogan, but it doesn't encapsulate all of the nuance of social interaction. I think no, if you interpret no in the sense that it is a lack of consent, obviously a lack of consent is a lack of consent, but no as a word cannot really necessarily imply a lack of consent within the whole frame of the situation, if that makes sense.
So
I understand.
I think what the way that you can interpret that scenario is that is very much the exception to the rule. Most of the time when people are saying no, then what they mean is no, and you should always treat it as a no. And if someone then corrects you and says, oh, actually, I want to continue, then you can continue. But again, it's better to err on the side of no meaning no, because for 99.9% of the people and cases, that will be the case. And there are people who are interested in things like consensual non-consent, or maybe this might be a person who would be better off with like a safe word that's different than no. If for them no doesn't mean no, then maybe you organize a safe word. But the instinct you should always ride on is that no does mean no. And I would that's like blanket, keep it that way, unless you have this very, very, very specific situation, and this person explicitly tells you that that's not the case for them. Because the other part of it too is sometimes people lose the essence of consent needing to be enthusiastic. So, and I actually see some of that in the chat too, like having consent be freely given, reversible, enthusiastic, informed, all of those things are like the hallmarks of what consent really truly is. So if someone is giving you a no, then you got to back off and just see what is going on. And then if they, like I said, if they then have the conversation with you saying, oh, that's when I'm saying no, I don't mean like literally no, I mean sort of in this like playful sense, then okay, great. Then let's have a different word that we use for when you actually want me to stop whatever we're doing and establish the safe word.
Sure. Yeah. I want to make it very clear that each time I had a no, it was I assumed that it was a proper no. The issue isn't. Also, somebody in chat said something along, that they have seen that no means try harder. Absolutely fucking not. That's crazy. That's the thing I want to avoid communicating.
Yeah.
But it's just I suppose I am trying to figure out how to maintain the adventurous kind of playful nature of sexual interactions,
Mm-hmm.
without you. What am I saying? What am I trying
Well,
to
I'll
say
tell
right
you,
now?
I'll tell you that no interaction that you have sexually will feel playful or exciting without it feeling safe first. So if you're like having these questions, you prioritizing consent and the no means no of it all and clear communication, even if the first time you have sex with this person, it's like a little bit, you're navigating the waters, then that's fine. Every other time after that is going to feel so safe and so good because you had those conversations to begin with. And I think at some point it is helpful background to share that you want to have everything be clear. Like I'm going to err on the side of being cautious and clear, so that I know exactly what you like and we can have way more fun moving forward. Like one of the things that me and my partner say all the time is we use the phrase safe and good. Like whenever we're like trying new things or we had a fight, or we don't really fight, but like we had like a disagreement, whatever. We always end it with checking in to make sure that we both feel safe and good. And those are like that is what creates a foundation for more exciting and adventurous things later on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, totally agree with that. I just have that may be a thing for like therapy or coaching or whatever, but just the because I have been described before as maybe being too strict or like too boring, and then I'm like, I mean I wanna, but like I just it's too ambiguous for me because I cannot read the cues well enough, I think, to
Yeah, and that's okay. If
really
the person
understand.
that you are if the person that you're having these interactions with needs someone who is uh wanting to make it into like a Pornhub scene, then whatever, but that might not be a good partner for you because you're going to want the clarity in communication. Like, because someone in the chat said this isn't a James Bond movie, and it's like that is so true. Like what we see in porn or movies or whatever is so not like the way that it actually goes. And
Mhm.
when you are able to have really honest conversations, that's when all the good stuff happens. Like the spontaneity is fun, but once safe and good is established. Like spontaneity when you don't feel safe with that person yet is like sort of scary.
Yeah, totally. That brings me to the thing of if we have the time for this, because there was another call, I think. But the enthusiastic nature of consent. Stevie Bobby has that video called "The Biggest Lies About Consent," and the enthusiastic part of it, I also I hadn't thought about it that way, but is like that could be seen as tone policing somebody's consent. And so, like, I had another situation. I met up with like somebody came over. We were making out. It went to the bed. Everything was good. Then she said like, "Oh, I don't think I want to do this." I was like, "Fine, good. I'm cool with that. We'll just watch a movie." But then she said, "Oh wait, no, I do actually wanna." And then I was like, "Okay, I'm not good in like red light, green light games here. That's I don't get what that means. That doesn't seem enthusiastic enough." So I didn't because I was uncomfortable too. But then it's like Like, did I overreact to them by not going forward, or I find it confusing.
No, I don't think you were overreacting. I think it's sort of like you don't have to please every person that you have this like attempted sexual reaction with. I think that this person going back and forth and then you saying I'm not comfortable is completely fine, because you also have to give consent to the situation. And so if you don't feel safe and good, then it doesn't really matter if that other person suddenly does. Like it has to come from both of you. And for the record, even if you did overreact and err on the side of caution, you still did the right thing. Like, because ultimately, the person also, I think, if they come out of that experience thinking that you're I don't know, strange, or whatever they want to say, that you're overly cautious. Okay, that is not the worst thing to be, my friend. Like, I would so much rather you be overly cautious and have everyone feel safe around you than be so concerned about like looking and feeling cool to these other partners. Or not cool. Like, cool feels sort of like silly, but you know what I mean? Like, I would
Yeah.
the priority should always be both of you and this other person having full consent, and having that consent be enthusiastic for you as well.
Yeah.
And they should understand. They should understand
Yeah.
that you would be sort of like, you know.
I am worried about being the vibrator that switches vibration modes right before the orgasm and fucks up the situation.
That's really funny. Yeah, that is tough. That is tough. You think everything's going well, and then suddenly it's the pattern of like an insane, I don't know. It happens to the best of us. Anyway, I hope that this has been helpful. I do want to try to get to one more call before we read our super chats. But
Cool.
thank you so
Can
much
I
for
just ask-
calling. Sure.
Can I ask quickly, like, did I say something crazy? Somebody in chat said, as a Belgian, I don't claim Alexandria. What did I say that was wrong? I don't understand.
I don't know when it might have been when you first were explaining that no meaning no is sometimes like not what it seems. It might have been during then, but don't worry about what the chat says. You know what our conversation is. You know who you are. Don't worry about it.
Cool, because like I want to be clear about this. I come from there's like people being not too interested in consent enough, and me being too careful.
Yeah.
And there's this like I want to minimize the surplus amount of being careful so I can maximize the pleasure of me and my partner. That is the idea.
Totally. And I would rather you be curious and have a conversation about it than feel lost and confused on your own. Like, it's more important to me that you like air out the conversation and exactly how you feel, than, you know, whatever. And the people in the chat are getting a very small little slice of who you are and who you are as a partner. So don't worry about it.
Okay. The person said I grew on them. Cool.
Okay, there you go. See? All better.
Yeah.
All right, Alexandria, call back anytime, and we'll talk to you soon. I appreciate this conversation. It was important to have.
Yeah, excellent. Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, Alexandria.
Bye.
Okay.
I cannot stop yawning. I'm trying so hard to not.
Hate when that happens to me, when all of a sudden you can't stop. Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to take our last call and then run through super chats kind of quickly because I want to eat dinner before I get on my flight tonight so I can not be so hungry and cranky. Okay, let's pull in Anna, and if you wanted to get super chats in before the end of the show, now is the time. So get those super chats in, like the video if you haven't, and I'm gonna pull in Anna.
Hi,
Hi.
Anna.
Anna, are you there?
Yes. You
Hello,
hear me?
how are you? Yes.
I'm doing well. Yeah.
Wonderful. What did you want to talk
Um.
about today?
So, yeah, kind of on the topic of like, uh, definitely kind of in the topic of like sex and intimacy, and so I am a bisexual cis woman who is starting to date a really really hot girl. And I'm also ex very conservative Christian, or at least that's how I was raised. And I've mostly been dating men, and now I'm kind of getting into dating women, and uh, kind of feeling like there's still some barriers or internal misogyny that I'm still kind of working through. Especially kind of in the bedroom, like uh kind of like I mean things, even just things like pet names, or uh like uh things like that felt more natural with maybe guys I was with, and with girls I feel like I'm being demeaning, or I'm being like, I don't know, uh not as feminist. Or with rough sex, where it's like I want to like, like she wants to have, like, we both want to have, like, like hot rough sex. And like with guys, I'm usually, it's fine, they like it when I like pull their hair or spank them. And with girls, I'm kind of feeling a little like, is this okay? Like, I don't want to hurt you, like, and I am like, am I infantilizing them? Am I kind of being like this, breakable, delicate angel? And I don't know, maybe, sorry, I feel like I'm kind of, I've gotten, I know I had all this time to kind of construct my answer, and once I got on, I just start rambling.
It happens. It happens. I think so. Off the bat, I'll say that, similar to the call that we just had, we don't get a lot of guidance in how to have conversations about sex or with our sexual partners. And so it kind of is like the blind leading the blind with that, when in reality, some of like the hottest conversations you can have around sex are like just being very explicit. Like if you like think of how hot it would be if a person that you were hooking up with was like, I want to know exactly what you like. I want to know like where all of this on this scale, like what feels good to you and what doesn't. And you can make a game out of it if you want to. There's also something called a
Yeah,
yes, no, maybe list. I have one, and then there's other, you can find them online all over the place. Like they're
yeah,
free always,
we've
and you can
gone through
download
one of
them from
those.
all over. Okay.
Yeah,
So it's like
we've
the
gone through one of
internal
those.
thing.
I think it's the internal thing. Like, maybe it's just like, why do I feel like more cautious with her than I have with like cis men? I haven't, yeah. Like, why do I feel like I am, and I don't know if it's just because guys are like, oh, like, is it like me being like, guys just like sex, or guys just like being used, or guys like, you know, but, or I'm taking out frustration of the patriarchy with them, or if it's like, and with women, I don't know. I'm like, is it like I'm worried if I'm being a sexual predator? Like, am I being like a guy, I guess, when I'm having,
Well,
even
I
though we're having
wonder
lesbian sex,
too.
am I being a guy?
I wonder too, I think that there's also a thing that whether you're coming from a religious background or just like a conservative one, there's also like for gay sex, a lot of the time there's like this whole thing that it's perverted. And so that also adds like a weird, like can add like a weird icky feeling to something that would have felt completely like fine and whatever with it within the bounds of like a straight cisgender couple. So that I think that could also be a part
Yeah.
of it. But I do think maybe it's just like a little bit of overcorrecting on your part. Because if you're having conversations with your partner and they're having fun, then you're doing nothing wrong. And I think it's just you know, it's sometimes I think it's helpful to do this thing where you ask, you like follow. I need to think of like a word or a phrase for when I ask people to do this, where you like kind of follow the rabbit hole of why, asking yourself why you feel this way, until you get to what the root of it is. Because sometimes it's like, um, it's just deeply like programmed belief about women, about sexuality, about being bisexual. It's like all of these things, all of these messages that you've gotten your whole life, and now you're
Yeah.
deconstructing all of them, and so you're going to be kind of like breaking things along the way.
Yeah, like, and she's not like the first like woman I've ever had sex with, but this is definitely like the first like relationship with a woman in a long time, and I uh and it's also one where like we're first one we've really started talking about things like kink or things like or it's the first like slightly more long-term relationship than just like a college hookup or something, uh so it's kind of like a with some of that it's like maybe it's like I'm taking it more seriously because I really like her, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also kind of like um the I think I just sometimes get these like little hangups that I thought I was kind of, have kind of gotten over, and it's hangups that I feel like I haven't had like with past relationships with men. And I don't know if it's
Mm-hmm.
just lack of practice or if it's as I said, internalized misogyny or um, something like that. So it was just something I kind of wanted to talk about, especially with someone who is, knowledgeable on like sex topics and deconstruction.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, what you're describing is so normal, and I think that I'm sure Taylor can speak to this too. There are things that like that we deconstruct for years, and because they just come up and show up in
Mhm.
like weird random ways. And so I think, you can take comfort in knowing that it's not you're not alone in finding these little pockets of opportunity to deconstruct still, even now, to be like, I thought I was past this, but here I am again. And I have to figure out, what does this moment mean to me? And like, what am I deconstructing? Am I deconstructing the part of me that maybe is like a little, you know, too tied to the patriarchal, did I say that right? Yes, I did. um,
Yeah.
layout of life. And sometimes it's helpful to like name it and claim it type of thing, but other times it's helpful to even like give that version of you a name and a separate identity. It's like the past Anna is I don't know, name her something that feels right to you. Margaret, I don't know, I have nothing against Margaret's, it's just the first name I thought of.
Sure.
And
You did.
and you can sort of isolate that and say, you know what, that's a Margaret thought. And actually, I don't need to be responsible for that anymore. And you can sort of like compartmentalize it that way if you want to, or you can do the sort of like digging on it and say, what is it that I'm actually feeling? What am I interacting with right now? And let me take like a little while by myself and just think about what it is that I'm responding to. Taylor, do you have any thoughts as a deconstructed lady?
Yeah, one thought I had was that definitely in like Christian conservative spaces, female pleasure is not talked about like at all. Like, and if you do, I feel like it's like looked down upon. Yeah, like or even the use of like vibrators or whatever is like such a big deal to people. Like you shouldn't do it. And I also feel like a lot of them talk about sex as if it's only for having kids, reproducing, and they also paint it in a light where only the men really enjoy sex and it's just something women have to do. So I feel like it would probably be
That's why hang up
hard
with
to
strap-on. Oh, sorry, I'm just having a realization right now. Strap-ons are maybe a part of
Yeah,
it. So the
yeah, I
wearer,
feel like
but
when
yeah,
you're told,
sorry. Also, if I'm being way too
I feel like
explicit, I apologize.
no,
No,
you're
you're good.
fine. I feel like when you're told it's like one specific thing and like how you're supposed to be due to your gender or sex, it can be confusing when you finally like break those norms. And then I also feel like it can it can live in us like subconsciously, whether we realize it or not.
Mhm.
Like any kind of guilt or shame or like, I don't know, anything like that.
Yeah. Sorry for interrupting you, too. I was just,
No, you're good.
I kind of just was having one of those aha moments, but like, yeah, it definitely is one of those things. Like, it's kind of like, yeah, uh, grief in a way. Like, my dad passed away like 12 years ago, and no need to feel bad for me. Yeah, I wasn't very close with him, but like, I do have moments of like, it's, you know, oh, I don't really feel it. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, there's a moment of grief I'm feeling right now. Where did that come from? Or you just I hear a song and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that reminds me of, you know, back when I was
No.
like, you know, super like, you know, conservative and, you know, like super hardcore into Jesus and then it goes away. And, so like, yeah, it definitely has been a journey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a good comparison to grief because people think grief is like, oh, it just gets better over time, but it's just not a linear thing. And yeah, things like deconstruction are the same way. And you don't really get to pick and choose when it affects you and when it impacts you and how it impacts you. So yeah, it can definitely be an
Yeah.
obstacle for sure.
Yeah.
Anna,
And
you
like
should
how,
consider. Sorry, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt your train of thought. My thing will
oh,
wait.
I was just
Can
saying
wait.
like,
I will remember it.
oh, I was just, sorry?
I was saying that
Go
I'll
ahead.
remember my thing, so
Sorry.
I don't want to interrupt your train of thought. So go ahead.
Okay. But yeah, I was just saying like I was just agreeing with you a lot about like the focus on like female pleasure just so not being a concern in relationships or in like conservative culture, and it kind of being like a thing that you know, that being like also kind of why I started really getting into kink. And then it was also kind of where I am like it did lead to a lot of good conversations I had with my like current partner, but it's also uh yeah, figuring out so yeah, I was just agreeing with you, like, yeah, that's something where I've definitely uh like kind of learn. It's fascinating how much more and more I kind of learn about myself just even just over the past 2 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So you
absolutely.
can
totally.
continue.
All of this stuff is such like an ongoing like Taylor said, and I agree so much that grief is a great great way to like, it's a great framework for how I think the deconstruction stuff happens, because it pops up in the weirdest ways. Like my grandmother died this summer, and in the moment it was very sad, but I was like, she was old. She lived. She did all the things. But every now and again, it just like pops up and it just like shows up in this way where I'm like, "Oh, shit, that sucks." And it feels really sad. And when you've lived with one belief for so long, it like seeps into all of these little cracks of how you process life. And so it's impossible to sort of like look at it and be like, well, I don't believe this anymore, and have all of it sort of dissolve. It's just going to be an ongoing thing. And I think what I was going to say before is I think you would benefit from having a sex therapist specifically, that even if you see them like once every month or once every 2 months or whatever, just to have these like ongoing conversations as you continue to deconstruct and learn about, you know, the parts of how you formed your sexual self that are informed by how you were raised in this, like, or what the conservative beliefs that you held, and having someone to like support you through unraveling some of that would be really helpful and really impactful, I think, for you.
Yeah, like it is one of those things where God, like yeah, no, I definitely I've definitely considered that, and I actually have seen a sex therapist once before. I might try to revisit her again. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, kind of figuring out like I definitely have like a bit of a dominant side, a little bit of a sadomasochistic side, and like I think it's one of those things where it's like, even when I have a partner who's like, oh, I'm so enthusiastically like liking this, I still definitely have that religious guilt of being like, I am a cruel, terrible person for wanting to slap someone consensually and them
Yeah,
begging for it.
I also feel like religion will make you feel bad for just liking and taking pleasure in things in general. Like there's always that thing of like, oh, if
Yeah.
you like something too much, like you better feel bad about it, and it's just
Mhm.
really damaging.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as long as what you're doing is fun for you, it's fun for your partner, it's consensual, then it's fine. It's healthy and it's fine. Like
Yeah.
if it's not hurting anybody, including you, including like, you
Yeah.
know, psychologically, then what you're
Yeah.
doing is fun and normal and wonderful, and you should be having a really great time. And when you have these little roadblocks, you can recognize them and say, you know, I see you, I understand why you're here, and I'm gonna take you and set you off to the side because I'm having a really good time. And I don't need you anymore to like give me guardrails on life. Like you're grown, you know
Yeah.
what's fun for you, and you don't need the guardrails anymore.
Yeah.
You
All
know?
right, cool.
But I do think also, if this is something that comes up for you a lot, a sex therapist is so fun and makes all of this stuff way easier and more normalized. So that could be fun to look at too. But I appreciate the call so much, Anna, and call back anytime as you're navigating all of this, because lots of people in the chat have similar experiences, and you know, this is a great topic.
Hashtag Bandrew.
Hey, Andrew! Yeah, and he didn't call in today.
Sorry, I had to
that?
say it before I left. I didn't know if you were going to hang up, but I just had to say
No.
hashtag Bandrew. Bye.
You're so funny. Okay,
Thank you
so
so much.
she's a girl in the chat. She's a girl in the chat. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for calling, Anna, and we will see you in the chat, and
Bye,
call back
Anna.
anytime. Okay. Amazing. That was so funny. I love that. I love when people that I didn't know are like chatters, like reveal themselves in a fun way. That was great. All right, shall we get to super chats? I am so hungry that I'm eating a chocolate chip cookie because I gotta
Yeah.
eat something. Okay,
$5
$5
from
from. No, you take it. You take it. I'm gonna eat this cookie.
$5 from Arn. Oh my gosh. You guys see it. As my urologist is fond of saying, great stream. Is fond of saying, my bad. Oh, funny.
Nice. Thank you so much. $5 from Alyssa Nguyen. My name is John Wick. You have killed my puppy. I have a very particular set of skills and have acquired over a very long career. Prepare to die. Hashtag mashup. That is also the Princess Bride. What's his name?
Mhm.
Something Montoya? Amigo. Amigo?
Five.
Inigo? Inigo. I said amigo and I was like, well, that's not right because that's a word and not a name. Anyway, proceed. Thank you, Lux.
$5 from Alice and Dr. Pepper. Nothing has made me love my spouse more than dating and embracing polyamory. I love cuddling with spouse and my girlfriend watching Studio Ghibli. That sounds so pleasant. I love Studio Ghibli. It's so calming.
I love it too. £5 from Mystic Mind Analysis. I'm in the process of questioning my romantic attraction right now. I sometimes have dreams of dating men, but overwhelmingly prefer femme folk. Okay. Whatever works for you. And also, don't worry so much about what the label is and just date the people you want to date. Like if you're attracted to someone, it doesn't really matter how you labeled yourself before that. Just, follow what the peepee is doing.
$5 from Alyssa Nguyen. I don't remember how to say this person's name. Renee. Do you remember?
Renee
Descartes?
Descartes? I don't remember. I don't know. Someone in the chat
Yeah.
was like, how do you guys not know who that is?
Well,
I don't know, because I don't know everything about everything.
I
Jesus God.
don't. I'm like not one to remember philosophers and all that stuff if that's what that was in reference to. The possible number of positive and negative real R roots can be found by counting the number of sign changes. I feel like I'm missing something.
I don't know what that means.
Also, my face is getting
$5.
progressively redder. Like, I don't know what's going on.
In real life or just on camera?
I don't know. I guess I'll find out after this.
Okay. Well, I hope you're okay.
I just look like a tomato.
$5 from Space Barbarian 3484. Dualism fails to credit how amazing matter in motion can be. We may not be brains in a vat, but we are brains in a meat puppet. That's funny.
We are brains
like
in a
that.
meat puppet.
Brains
Meat
in a meat
sacks.
puppet.
$5 from Alyssa Nguyen. Real roots of a polynomial. I forgot that part. I can give an example now that I have more room. Oh my gosh.
Alyssa.
Sounds
Miss
good.
Girl. Ain't no fucking, I don't know what that says. Love you. Thank you for sending it. I don't know what that means.
Another
$5. Oh, another. Yeah. $5 from Alyssa Nguyen. I wish these things could be edited. It also could have been something. Also, matter and energy can't be created or destroyed, but they can be converted. Yeah. Exactly.
I still read this as Charizard. $10 from Sapphic Hazard. I would just love for colors to understand the difference between what is it? Well, I don't know that word.
Spatial dimensions and alternate dimensions. Just a very silly. I can't pronounce that word. Wow, what's going on?
Equivocation.
Someone's going to take the mic away from us.
Equivocation.
Yeah, between the two of us, we can't friggin' read today. It's okay. $10 from Ace Arrow Anarchist. Alyssa, have you heard of an organization called A Call to Men? I heard about them at a work conference. They do manosphere, toxic masculinity deconstruction. Just wanted to share in case you hadn't. I think
Wait,
A
what?
Call to Men. There's one that I saw. I thought that had a similar name that was based in Australia. Yes. Oh no.
Ew.
Call to Men. I don't know. Anyways, I will. Maybe this is not the same one. I'm opening
Oh,
up a tab right now.
deconstruction.
Ooh.
Okay. I thought they were just
I'm
another
opening a
red
tab
pill
right
group.
now,
I was
and I
like,
will.
no.
No,
That's awesome.
no. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that.
$20 from Misha. I believe the why questions is called the 5 whys technique. I use it for work a lot to understand what people actually are trying to do / want, as opposed to make this feature for me. Love what y'all do. Thank
Okay.
you.
That's so funny because I saw that chat come up in there and I'm like, well, yeah, like obviously I cannot be the first person who said, let's talk about why and drill down and whatever, but I've never heard of the 5 whys technique. And wow, I'm so glad it has a name. Thank you so much for telling me. I did not know.
Oh, $5 from our didn't.
I
I
think
don't
I was
even
supposed
know
to
if
read
some of
this,
these
but
are
I'm
supposed to
shoving my
be
mouth
like
with a cookie.
words or sometimes I don't know if they're supposed to be names or abbreviations. So I wonder if going down the rabbit hole could be a niche furry thing. What? I don't
And
know.
if it is, good for
I
them.
don't know.
Enjoy. $5 from Sapphic Hazard. Anna's the best caller tonight. I'm not crushing, I swear. Okay, Sapphic. Okay, Miss Charizard.
$5 from Lord Ben. $5 from Lord Ben. 6584. Vecna did not need to do everything he did at the end of Volume 1. Bro was straight up plotting the best entrance to Aura Farm and then leave. What's that from? Is that like Star Wars or something?
Vecna is Stranger Things, right? Yeah, I
That's
think
what I
so.
thought, but then Volume 1, I guess I don't know like how they I don't know. I haven't watched it in a long time.
Mm. I watched the first season and then I just like didn't feel compelled to watch any of the others, but I'm sure it's very good. I don't know.
Eh.
$5 from Arnaj. I like your Pitbull in the picture. I assume that's Pitbull. Looks like a pitty. It's very cute. Super hardcore into Jesus sounds like a very specific kind of thing, and I'm here for it. Okay. Yeah.
$5 from Charizard. Apologies. Dimensions in space-time, height, width, length, time, and dimensions of existence, space-time, are very much not the same.
True.
On Matt? Yeah, I like Matt though. He seems like a good person. $5
Respectful
from
caller.
Space Barbarian 3484. The Wise technique also shows up in CBT.
Okay. I'm not a therapist, so I'm not trained in things like that, but good to know. I love it. Oh, that's it. Okay. Well,
Yay.
honestly, that's really nice because I am starving and there are waffle fries calling my name.
Ooh.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
Oh
no.
I think she
They were calling my name, but not that hard. Jeez, I wouldn't leave you guys hanging like that. Anyway. Thank you to Dragan, who did our calls training today, Lux, who's our producer today, all of our wonderful mods, and our patrons, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye.